So in this video, I'm going to show you how to basically bypass certain locks. This is a typical pin and tumbler lock. This is what you're going to run into 90% of the time. These can be picked fairly easy with practice, but it's going to take practice. The biggest mistake that people make when they're picking these is A, they don't know how the lock works, and the second is they put too much tension on things. But we'll get into that here in a second. I found this on the road. This is just one of them old bicycle locks. It's a hunk of junk, but I'm going to teach you how to bypass that. And then, of course, the typical master combination lock. So let's go ahead and start with the easiest. It doesn't require any tools, doesn't require really any type of skill, just good eyesight, and maybe a minute of your time. When I was a kid, they had these locks all the time. You could find these at places like Kmart and Gemco and you name it. Anywhere that they sold bikes, you could probably find these at Walmart still for $1 or $2. And you get what you pay for, okay? This is a hunk of junk. I found this on the street. And I don't know the combination of this, but we are going to find out right now what the combination is. This is pretty easy. All it takes is good eyesight. So what I'm going to do, you're going to see that this little notch thing, this little dimple or whatever you want to call that, is kind of standing up right there. And we just want to go ahead and we'll start with 5, 3, 2, 1. Why not? We're going to grab both ends of this and we're going to start pulling on this side. And you're going to see that when I pull on it, all of the numbers, all of the little spools are kind of moving with it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here and I'm going to turn this one at a time until I don't see that move that much anymore. There you go. That one's not really moving anymore. That means I found that gate. Okay, so now we have 3, 2, 1. We're going to turn that 4. That's no good. Oh, do you see that? The 4, 5, 2. The 2 is correct. I didn't even have to go to the other one. So now I just have to find this last number. There it is. 4, 5, 2, 3. What a hunk of junk. All locks can be bypassed due to poor machining. Okay, and what you're doing is you're manipulating that poor machining. So let's go to the most common lock, a pin and tumbler lock. And whether it is like this or like this, doesn't make a difference. They're all pin and tumblers. In other words, inside here there's some pins that we have to manipulate in order to get this to pop open. There's also another very common lock called a wafer lock, and I'm going to show you the wafer locks. So you should start on something real easy like this. This is poorly machined, this is cheap. Practice on something like this until you start getting good. The secret to picking locks is all in your sense of touch. Okay, you have to have like brain surgeon sensitivity in your hands. Basically being able to tell something almost like the difference in the weight of a feather. We're talking very, very keen sense of touch, and it's something that can be developed. Now, when I used to pick locks all the time, it was back in the early 90s, in the mid 90s. And it was a hobby of mine, and I was doing it before it was cool. And it came in handy quite a bit. People would forget their combination to a lock. People would lose their keys. You would lose your keys. And I do not suggest or recommend anybody breaking into shit that is not yours, right? Don't be doing that stuff, okay? But this type of lock is the same type that you're going to see on a door. So this works on deadbolts. This works on regular doors. This works on anything that's a pin and tumbler. There are some locks out there, though. You're even if you've been practicing for years and years, you're not going to be able to get into them. Not unless you have some specialized tools and stuff like that. Brand names like Medico and stuff, boy, are you in for it. But Master is an easily picked lock. So basically what we end up having is what's known as a tension or a torque wrench. Just a piece of flat metal that's been bent. And you'll see that I stick it in the bottom of the keyway. Now this is not like a master class on how to pick locks. This is just so you understand how it's done. And then right here I'm going to be using a hook pick. This is my tool of choice as a hook pick. I don't like using random picks because I like to be in control of what I'm doing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tension wrench to put tension on the keyway here, okay? Now, the biggest mistake that people make when they first start learning how to pick locks is they put way too much tension. What you want is maybe like an ounce of pressure, barely anything. I mean, when I say barely anything, it really is barely anything. And we've got about 4 pins inside here, maybe 5, but it's probably 4. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to each pin and we're going to start raising it up until these pins reach what's known as the shear line at the break of these 2 pins. And if you want to know exactly how a lock is built, where this makes sense, because if you understand how this lock is built, your picking is going to be so much better. And there's so much information on the web about this. So, but I'm just giving you a general thing. I'm going to put light pressure. I'm going to stick my pick in. I always start at the rear, okay? And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start raising these pins, each one very gently until I can feel them reach their shear line. Sometimes you got to do it a couple of times. And I'm raising up the pins until I can feel them hit the shear line. And when it hits the shear line, you'll know, because this will give a little bit, and then you just move it the rest of the way. And then this will pop open. That's that. I mean, this is cake, and I'm out of practice. When I was doing this all the time, I could get into almost any lock within 30 seconds or less. I mean, I was really good at it, but like I said, I haven't done a lot of this stuff since the 90s. So now we're going to get into combination lock. This I found near a high school. Okay, I don't know what the combination is on this. This has been out in the sun. You could tell it's been bleached. What I did is I sprayed it down with some WD-40 so that way everything's loose on this. You need this to kind of be somewhat loose and lubed in order for this to work well. This is all about your sense of touch, just like the other one. This is all about sense of touch. What we're going to do is we're going to turn the shackle clockwise. A few times, we're just trying to get the gates in there all set up, everything reset. Now I'm going to put just a little bit of tension on the shackle. I don't want so much tension that I can feel every gate, or I should say false gate, because it'll go click, 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 click. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a smooth spin, but there's going to be one number right there that I'm going to feel a little resistance, okay? What we do is we take that number and we add 5. Now, since this is in between 29 and 30, I'm going to say it's 35. 35 is our first number. So using the same amount of tension right here, or slightly more, I'm going to start going counterclockwise until this locks. The dial will lock. Right there, it's locked. It's keeping the same tension, I'm going to be going the opposite in clockwise fashion, feeling for resistance again. If I don't feel it, I go back. Still don't feel it. Going back. I'm going to increase tension ever so slightly. Still don't feel it. I'm going to increase tension just a little bit more. 14, 24. It's either 14 or 24. 14. It's very subtle. It's very subtle, okay? So 35, 14. 14 is our second number. So 35, go around one full time, 14, and now I'm just going to start doing this while turning clockwise. There it is. And so that's our combination, 35, 14, 18. And then that's how you get into one of those. This is all about sense of touch, and the more the lock is lubricated and new and whatnot, the easier it's going to be. This one was setting out in the rain and stuff for a while, so there was a couple of spots in there it's probably rusty inside, that was giving me that little bit of resistance, and that's why I had to do it a few times. But that's how long it takes to open up one of these locks. So I'm in front of my Defender machine, and we will open this lock. And this is what is known as a wafer lock. And this particular lock, we're going to be turning this direction just like the key would be. And wafer locks, they call them wafer locks because the way that instead of it being pins, they're like wafers. And they have double wafer locks and they have wafer locks. Double wafer locks, a little bit harder. These are cake, okay? These are like bobby pin material. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our tension wrench or torque wrench, whatever you want to call it, and then we're going to come in here. There you go. Now this is the whole reason why, that's the whole reason why they quit using these back in the day on arcade machines, because this is ultimately just a paperclip bobby pin type of picking. These are horrible. These are horrible. You'll find these though on a lot of desks and things like that. Things that don't need a lot of security is where you're going to find a wafer lock. And double wafer locks you'll find sometimes on things like that too. It's pretty much identical to what we were just doing, except you do top and bottom, and then that will open right up. Now this right here, I'm going to show you why this is a complete and utter sham. This does not protect anybody. This does not keep your gun safe. This is some stupid shit that California imposes on everybody that owns a weapon. But this is a gun lock, okay? This is a gun lock. And I'm going to show you how quick you can get into one of these. Now, I'm not doing it to teach you how to have access to a gun. I'm teaching you so that way, if you do need a gun lock, you don't buy one that's cheap like this. You get what you pay for, you know. And also, to kind of just show you that locks are deterrents. They don't keep people out. People that really want into something, they're going to have access to it. You need to know your locks, right? If you want to keep things safe, you got to know your locks. Don't be buying pieces of junk like this. I'm going to use just a random little rake here, okay, in order to open this lock. So I'm going to stick my tension wrench inside here. This, I'm just going to stick inside. There we go. That's supposed to keep people safe. This is supposed to keep people safe. Fuck you, California. You don't know what you're doing, you dumb bastards. Last but not least, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's get out a set of handcuffs. Uh-oh, Will, you're in trouble. You are under arrest. Oh, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good. I'm under arrest, dude. How do I get out of these? Okay. First, you go, a la peanut butter sandwiches. No, that's not what you do. You're going to manipulate the way that these things are manufactured. Okay, so I got my handcuffs, boom, 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 my handcuffs are on, and all I need is a thin piece of metal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it right in this little area between these little gears and the spring gear inside here. I'm going to put it in as far as it'll go. Okay, and then after I have that, I'm going to keep pressure. I'm going to be pushing it this direction, and I'm going to tighten the handcuffs while pushing that. And by doing so, this will get in between the spring gear and the other gear, and I'll be able to remove that. Okay, so let me show you again, and same thing on this one. Okay, and I've done this with all different types of brands of handcuffs. Doesn't matter, it works on all of them for the most part. The only time that this doesn't work is if they actually lock the lock, like to make it where the cuffs can't tighten. That's the only time that this doesn't really work. But you'll see that inside here there is a gear that is spring loaded, and the whole object is to get this between the gears up here, and as soon as you slide this in there, this is free moving now. See, because it bypasses the gears. And I just got a text. Hopefully you enjoyed watching that and you learned something. And I'm not teaching people how to do this or anything to do any illegal activity. That's not the point of this. The point of this is to help you if you're ever in a situation where you need to open a lock. For maybe you lost your keys or your friend lost their keys. Perhaps it's a situation where you're being held captive. Who knows? I know that when I was in the Army, I taught a class on how to pick locks to avoid becoming like a POW or how to escape. And then so I did a class on all that stuff. And I'm rusty. I haven't done this stuff in years and years and years. The last time that I picked a lock was in, well, today, but before that was probably around 1997. And I'm rusty, but I can still do it. My sense of touch, though, isn't as good as it used to be. So for some really advanced locks and some like well-machined ones, I would have to practice a little bit to get back to where I can do that. The reality is locks just detour. But if somebody knows how to get into something, the only thing that's going to stop them is their own conscience and morality. And lock picking is a lot of fun. It's a great hobby. But with great power comes great responsibility. So just keep that in mind. And always stay legal, as many people say that lockpick, stay legal. Anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you like this video, make sure that you like and subscribe. Share it on Facebook, share it on wherever you want. And I'll be having more videos to come on how to do all sorts of cool shit, the stuff that your mama told you should never learn how to do. I'm going to teach you how to do all that stuff. Anyway, until next time, I'll talk to you later.